The burial of a toxic Nazi submarine. Deep down in the murky depths of the Norwegian Sea, there's a sunken Nazi submarine that's been poisoning the water for decades. The sub, U-864, was on a secret mission to deliver jet parts and mercury to Japan in 1945, when it was suddenly intercepted and sunk by an enemy British submarine. The mercury, which was stored in 1,800 canisters, has been leaking from the wreck ever since, posing a major threat to the environment. To stop the leakage from doing more damage, the Norwegian government has decided to bury the submarine under rubble. A Dutch company was hired to carry out the upcoming operation, which will involve using a special rig to dig around the sub and cover it up with sand and gravel. The operation will cost about $31 million and will take about 2 years to complete. The burial of the submarine is expected to reduce the risk of mercury contamination and protect the ecosystem. But multiple environmentalists have argued that the burial won't be enough and that the mercury canisters should be removed altogether. They worry that the burial could actually have the potential to damage the wreck and cause more leakage in the future. The fate of U-864 is a reminder of war and the need for responsible disposal of hazardous waste. The submarine was once a weapon of mass destruction, but now it's a rising source of environmental destruction. 6. Brain-eating amoeba. The brain-eating amoeba, or Naegleria fowleri, is a microscopic organism that likes to live in warm and shallow fresh water bodies like lakes, rivers, and hot springs. They're also found in soil and poorly chlorinated swimming pools. Although it's harmless when swallowed, it can cause a fatal infection of the brain when it enters the body through the nose. The infection, known as primary amoebic meningoencephalitis (PAM), is rare but almost always deadly. According to the CDC, only 34 cases were reported in the United States between 2008 and 2017. Most of the cases happened in southern states like Florida and Texas, where the climate's warmer. But a few cases have also been reported in northern states during short heat waves. The symptoms of PAM include fever, headache, nausea, vomiting, stiff neck, hallucinations, and seizures. The symptoms appear within 14 days of exposure and progress quickly. The infection causes inflammation and damage to the brain tissue, which can lead to coma and death. There's currently no vaccine or specific treatment for PAM. The only drug that's shown effectiveness in fighting it is miltefosine, an anti-parasitic medication. But it's not widely available and must be administered early during the infection. So, prevention is ultimately the best way to avoid PAM. To not get PAM, people should avoid swimming or diving in warm and stagnant freshwater bodies where the amoeba could be living. If they do swim in these kinds of waters, they should use nose clips or hold their nose shut to stop water from entering into their nostrils. They should also avoid using tap water or unfiltered water for nasal irrigation, such as those done with neti pots. Instead, they should use sterile or boiled water. The brain-eating amoeba is rare but still a deadly threat that can be avoided by taking simple precautions. People should be aware of the signs and symptoms of PAM and seek medical attention immediately if they suspect a possible infection. 5. Oil spills. Oil spills are a major threat to both marine ecosystems and wildlife. They happen when oil leaks from tankers, pipelines, refineries, drilling rigs, storage facilities, boats, or other sources and get into the water. Oil spreads quickly over the surface of water, forming a thin slick that can cover large areas at a time. It can also sink, mix with water, or form tar balls, which are dangerous to ecosystems. Oil spills can kill plants and animals that live in the water. It can coat the fur of mammals like sea otters or the feathers of birds like pelicans, making them lose their insulation and ability to fly. Oil can also poison animals that accidentally ingest it while trying to clean themselves or their prey. It can affect the reproduction, growth, and survival of fish and shellfish populations while contaminating the food chain. Oil spills also damage habitats like coral reefs, mangroves, and wetlands. One of the most devastating spills in history was the Deepwater Horizon spill, which happened back in 2010. The disaster released about 4.9 million barrels of oil into the Gulf of Mexico. It affected thousands of miles of coastline and hundreds of species of wildlife. The spill also had huge economic and social impacts on the fishing, tourism, and oil industries in the region. Believe it or not, oil spills are not rare events. According to the International Tanker Owners Pollution Federation, ITOPF, there were 79 large oil spills from tankers worldwide from 2010 to 2019. In the United States, there were 137 oil spills in 2018 alone, mostly from pipelines and boats. But most of these spills were small, containing less than 1 barrel of oil. The large and catastrophic oil spills that cause severe damage to ecosystems and wildlife are less frequent, but still happen every few years. Cleaning up oil spills is a challenging and expensive task that requires both science and technology. Different methods are used depending on the type, amount, and location of the oil, like skimming, burning, dispersing, or containing the substance. NOAA's Office of Response and Restoration provides scientific tools to guide spill response decisions and assess the impacts and restoration efforts of natural resources. 4. Shipwrecks. Shipwrecks are the remains of boats that have sunk or crashed in the water. They're fascinating to explore and study, but can also pose many dangers to humans and the environment. Some of the many hazards of shipwrecks are toxic materials. Accidental wrecks often include harmful compounds that are difficult to remove once they leak into the water. These materials can include oil, fuel, explosives, radioactive waste, and more. They contaminate the water, the sediment, and the marine life, which can cause health problems and major ecological damage. For example, the SS Qianghai was a steamer that exploded in 1948 near Shanghai. It killed thousands of people while releasing oil and debris into the water. Habitat destruction is another side effect of shipwrecks. When a vessel collides with a hidden coral reef, it can endanger crucial marine ecosystems. Reefs are home to a rich diversity of life and provide many benefits to the environment, such as food, tourism, coastal protection, and carbon storage. When shipwrecks destroy the coral, they reduce their biodiversity and resilience. The USS Guardian was a minesweeper that ran aground on a coral reef in the Philippines during 2013, causing extensive damage to the reef. Shipwrecks can also be valuable sources of historical and cultural information, revealing insights into past civilizations, trade, and exploration. When they're damaged or looted by natural causes or humans, they lose their historical integrity and significance. The White Ship was a vessel that sank centuries ago in 1120 off the coast of Normandy, killing the heir to the English throne and triggering a civil war. The wreck has never been located, and it remains a mystery. 3. Radioactive graveyards. Many people are clueless that some of the most radioactive places on Earth are in the water. Radioactive graveyards, where nuclear waste and objects have been dumped or stored in the sea, often lack proper safety measures. They pose serious risks to the environment's health and require urgent attention to prevent future damage. One of the most radioactive graveyards in the world is the Kara Sea, north of Russia. During the Cold War, the Soviet Union used the area as a dumping ground for nuclear waste, including 14 reactors and a whole submarine. These radioactive materials threaten marine life and the fishing industry, as well as oil exploration and shipping. Another radioactive graveyard is the Barents Sea, near Norway and Russia. In it, 2 Soviet nuclear submarines sank. The K-159 and the K-278 both contain high levels of radiation that could leak into the water and contaminate the diverse wildlife. The Pacific Ocean also holds radioactive waste. Several countries conducted nuclear tests during the Cold War, leaving behind radioactive fallout. The most notorious example is Bikini Atoll, where the US detonated 23 nuclear bombs, creating a huge radioactive crater, forcing the local population to move. The English Channel is another victim, where both England and France dumped low-level radioactive waste from their nuclear facilities all the way up until the 1980s. The waste included metal drums, concrete blocks, and even old reactors themselves. The impact of this dumping on the marine environment and human health is still not fully understood. A nuclear power facility called Indian Point ran on the Hudson River for 60 years until 2021, making it another body of water containing radioactive waste. Tritium and other toxins escaped from the facility into the river, which had an impact on the fish population and the overall water quality. Over the years, the site has experienced several accidents and safety issues. 2. Australian box jellyfish. The Australian box jellyfish is a species of extremely poisonous box jellyfish that live in the coastal waters of northern Australia and surrounding regions. It's been described as the most lethal jellyfish in the world, killing at least 64 people in Australia between 1884 and 2021. The Australian box jellyfish has a squarish transparent bell that can grow up to 35 centimeters in diameter. From each of the 4 corners of the bell, there's a cluster of 15 tentacles that can extend out about 10 feet when hunting. The tentacles are covered with millions of cnidocytes, which are stinging cells that can deliver powerful venomous stings on contact. The venom contains toxins that affect the heart, nervous system, and skin cells. They cause excruciating pain, cardiac arrest, and tissue necrosis. One animal reportedly holds enough venom to kill up to 60 grown humans. The Australian box jellyfish is not only dangerous, but also incredibly elusive. It's virtually invisible while in the water, making it hard to detect. It also has a complex nervous system and true eyes, which allow it to move quickly and avoid obstacles. It's most active during the wet season, from November to April, when it gets closer to the shore to breed. The Australian box jellyfish poses a serious threat to swimmers and beachgoers. The best way to prevent stings is to avoid swimming in areas where they're known to visit, or to wear protective clothing like wetsuits or stinger suits. If stung, a victim should seek immediate medical attention and apply vinegar to the affected area. Antivenom is available for severe cases, but it must be administered fast before the venom causes irreversible damage. The Australian box jellyfish is a fascinating but deadly creature that deserves respect and immense caution. 1. Great Pacific Garbage Patch. The Great Pacific Garbage Patch is a massive accumulation of marine debris in the North Pacific Ocean. Stretching across the waters from the west coast of North America to Japan, this patch travels down a complex network of ocean currents, referred to as the North Pacific Subtropical Gyre. Contrary to popular belief, the patch is not a completely solid mass of trash, but actually a scattered expanse of floating plastic and other debris, often difficult to discern even through satellite imagery or simple observation. The majority of the trash is made of microplastics, tiny fragments smaller than a fingernail that pose a significant risk to marine animals. The garbage patch poses multifaceted threats to the environment and wildlife. A 2018 study conducted by the Ocean Cleanup Project estimated that it encompasses a staggering 45 to 129,000 metric tons of plastic, with some pieces dating back over half a century. The entanglement and suffocation of marine animals like turtles, seals, birds, and fish result from this accumulation. Additionally, the plastic releases chemicals into the water, disrupting the food chain and endangering human health. The patch also contributes to climate change by reducing the ocean's capacity to absorb carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere. Research from the University of Hawaii found that plastic debris in the ocean lessens the growth of phytoplankton, microscopic plants crucial for oxygen production. Since these phytoplankton are responsible for about 40% of global carbon fixation, therefore has significant implications for Earth's climate as a whole. The existence of the Great Pacific Garbage Patch is a direct consequence of humans. While a substantial portion of the plastic originated from land-based sources such as littering, improper waste management, industrial runoff, and stormwater discharge, marine-based sources like fishing nets, buoys, ropes, and equipment also contribute to the growth. Alarming trends reveal that the patch is growing rapidly and exhibiting no signs of slowing down anytime soon. Estimates say that its size has multiplied tenfold with each decade since 1945. Also, its influence is reaching to other regions of the ocean, giving rise to similar patches in the Atlantic and Indian Oceans. Addressing the Great Pacific Garbage Patch requires action and global cooperation from multiple countries. It serves as a grim reminder of the consequences associated with our disposable way of life and the profound impact we have on the planet. To confront this crisis, we must re-evaluate our consumption patterns and implement sustainable waste management practices to create a cleaner, healthier future for our oceans and the ecosystems they support. Japanese mini-sub. One of the most interesting things discovered in the Pacific Ocean was a Japanese mini-submarine that was part of the infamous attack on Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941. The mini-sub, which is also known as a midget submarine, or a Type A Keihoteki class sub, was one of 5 that were launched from larger mother submarines and tried to enter the harbor and fire torpedoes at American ships. But none of the mini-subs were successful. One was sunk by the destroyer USS Ward before the attack even started. Another was captured along with its crew after it ran aground, and 2 were destroyed by their own crews when they tried to escape. The 5th sub was never found, and its fate was a mystery for decades. In 1992, a team of researchers from the University of Hawaii's Undersea Research Laboratory, HUL, spotted the missing mini-sub in 1,300 feet of water, about 5 miles off the coast of Pearl Harbor. They used a remotely operated vehicle ROV to explore and take pictures of the wreck, which was still remarkably intact with both of its torpedoes. The discovery was a significant historical and archaeological find, since it provided new insights into the events of Pearl Harbor and the technology and tactics of the Japanese Navy from that time. It also raised questions about how the mini-sub ended up where it did and what happened to its crew. The mini-submarine is now considered a war grave and property of the US federal government. Its exact location is protected by HUL and NOAA, and access to it is restricted. The mini-sub is also listed on the National Register of Historic Places as a historic district. 7. Icefish. Icefish have adapted to the freezing waters of the Southern Ocean near Antarctica. They have some special features that help them survive in the cold temperatures, such as clear blood and bones with little pigment. But what makes them more amazing is their breeding colony, which was recently found by scientists at the bottom of the ocean. In January 2022, researchers discovered a gigantic colony of icefish nests that covers an area as big as a small country at the bottom of the Weddell Sea in the Antarctic Ocean. The scientists were on board the German polar research vessel Polarstern, which was using autonomous underwater vehicles to scan the seabed. They found about 60 million icefish nests at a depth of 2,600 feet, each one marked by a ring of stones on the muddy seabed. The nests were spaced out and each had one adult icefish guarding them. The researchers were amazed by the size and density of the colony, which they think might be the world's largest fish breeding ground. Before this discovery, they'd only seen up to 60 nests at a time. The researchers guessed that the breeding ground could have had up to 3 billion eggs. The icefish colony raises many questions about how these fish evolved. How did they create such a big and complex breeding system? What are the pros and cons of living in such a packed and competitive environment? How do they deal with predators, parasites, and diseases? How do they communicate and work with each other? Researchers also wonder how the icefish colony will be affected by climate change and human activities. The Weddell Sea is one of the most isolated areas of the world, but is also exposed to rising temperatures, melting ice, and fishing. The scientists hope that their discovery will help increase awareness and protection efforts for this unique and delicate ecosystem. 6. The Gulf of Cambay Civilization. The Gulf of Cambay Civilization is a controversial find that claims to reveal the existence of an ancient city under the sea in India. The discovery was first made by the National Institute of Ocean Technology, NIOT, back in 2000 using sonar and dredging techniques. The site is about 12 miles off the Gujarat coast and covers an area of 94 kilometers squared. The structure and the artifacts at the site are said to resemble the Harappan civilization, which flourished in the Indus Valley from about 3000 BC to 1500 BC. But some researchers suggest that the Gulf of Cambay site could be much older, possibly dating all the way back to 9500 BC. This would make it one of the oldest civilizations in the world and challenge conventional views on the origins of human history as we know it. The Gulf of Cambay civilization has been met with skepticism by many archaeologists who question the reliability of the methods and findings of NIOT. Some of the main issues raised by critics are the lack of proper archaeological excavation and documentation of the site, which makes it difficult to verify the data. The possibility that the structures and artifacts are natural formations instead of man-made objects. The difficulty of dating the site and its materials, especially since wood and pottery can be easily contaminated or transported through water currents. And the inconsistency of the site with other archaeological and historical evidence from the region. Therefore, the Gulf of Cambay civilization remains a highly disputed topic that requires further investigation and verification by qualified experts. 5. Suspected UFO. The suspected UFO in the Baltic Sea is a mysterious object that was found by a Swedish ocean exploration team back in 2011 using sonar. The object is shaped like a disc and measures about 200 feet in diameter. It has some features that resemble ramps, stairways, and walls, and is located at a depth of 300 feet on the seafloor between Sweden and Finland. The discovery sparked a lot of speculation among the public and media, who compared it to a sunken UFO or a portal to another strange dimension. Some even suggested it could be related to the mythical city of Atlantis or the ancient civilization of Lemuria. The exploration team called OceanX returned to the site multiple times to collect more data and samples and claimed that they experienced some strange phenomena like electrical malfunctions and compass deviations when they got near the object. But most experts and scientists have dismissed the idea that the object is anything other than a natural geological formation or even a human-made artifact. Some possible explanations are that it's a rock outcrop, a sediment deposit, a sunken shipwreck, or a military structure from World War II. The poor quality of the sonar image and the lack of proper investigation have made it difficult to verify the data. Also, the samples collected by OceanX have shown no signs of being extraterrestrial in origin. So, the suspected UFO in the Baltic Sea remains a controversial topic that requires more rigorous analysis. Until then, it can only be considered an intriguing anomaly, not conclusive evidence of alien visitation. Do you believe in aliens? Let us know in the comments down below, and be sure to subscribe to the channel. 4. The mystery of ocean holes. Deep in the Atlantic Ocean, there are some strange and mysterious holes that have confused scientists for years. These holes are not natural formations, but instead look like they were made by some kind of machine. They're small oblong cavities that are spaced about 10 centimeters apart and repeat, forming a pattern of lines on the ocean floor. So, what could have created these holes? Scientists have no definitive answer, but they have a few theories. Some think they're the result of an animal burrowing in the sediment and periodically punching chimneys up to get fresh circulation. Others suggest that they're related to volcanic activity or are hydrothermal vents. Some even wonder if they're signs of alien life or sea monsters below the surface. To solve this mystery, scientists are hoping to collect samples from the holes so they can analyze them for DNA and other clues. They want to find out what kind of organism or process is behind these holes and why they're so neatly organized. They also want to know how old these holes are and if they're still actually active or not. The site is just one example of the many mysteries that wait for us in the deep ocean, a vast and largely unexplored realm that covers over 70% of the Earth's surface. By studying these holes and other features, scientists are optimistic that we'll learn more about the ocean's biodiversity, geology, chemistry, and history. They also hope to inspire curiosity about the wonders of the underwater world. 3. The bloop. The bloop was one of the most mysterious sounds ever recorded from the ocean. It was a loud, low-frequency rumble that lasted for nearly an entire minute and could be heard across the Pacific Ocean. It was detected by underwater microphones, or hydrophones, that were placed by the U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration (NOAA) back in 1997 to monitor volcanic and seismic activity. The origin and nature of the bloop were unknown for years and sparked a lot of theories and curiosity. Some people wondered if it was made by some kind of giant sea creature, like a whale or a squid, or even an alien spacecraft. Others suggested that it was caused by an underwater volcano or a military experiment. But in 2005, NOAA scientists finally solved the long-held mystery of the bloop. It was determined to be the sound of an iceberg breaking apart from an Antarctic glacier. They confirmed this by comparing the bloop with other similar sounds recorded in Antarctica and by using satellite imagery to find the source of the sound. The bloop was one of the loudest sounds ever captured in the ocean, and it revealed how much we still don't know about the deep sea. It also showed how powerful and dynamic the natural processes of our planet can be, and how they create sounds capable of traveling thousands of miles through water. It was not the only strange sound detected by NOAA's hydrophones. Other unexplained sounds include Julia, train, slow down, upsweep, and whistle. Some of these sounds have been confirmed as natural phenomena, such as ice movements or earthquakes, just like the bloop, while others remain a mystery. 2. Mysterious stone structure. Underneath the waters of the Sea of Galilee in Israel, there's a mysterious stone structure that's baffled archaeologists for decades. The structure is cone-shaped, made of basalt cobbles and boulders, and weighs an estimated 60,000 tons. That makes it heavier than most modern warships. It also has a diameter of 230 feet and a height of 32 feet, making it larger than the outer ring of Stonehenge. In 2003, a sonar scan of the southwest corner of the sea revealed the first indication of the structure. Since then, scuba divers have inspected it and found no signs of cutting, chiseling, or arrangement of the stones by man. It seems to be a giant rock cairn, a pile of stones that sometimes marks burials or landmarks, but its purpose and date remain unknown. Researchers think that the structure was originally built on land and later submerged by the rising water levels of the sea. They also suggest that it could be over 4,000 years old, based on the proximity of other megalithic sites and ancient settlements close by. Some of these landmarks date back to 3000 BC and are associated with fortified towns and cultic activities. The structure is one of the largest and most enigmatic underwater monuments ever discovered in the Middle East. It poses many questions about the ancient cultures that lived in the region and their relationship with the environment. To answer these questions, underwater archaeological excavation is needed to find associated artifacts and organic material that could offer clues about their origin and significance. 1. Ancient and pristine deep-sea coral reefs. The Galapagos Islands are famous for their unique and diverse wildlife, both on land and in the water. But there's also a hidden treasure under the waves that's been recently located by scientists: ancient deep-sea coral reefs. These reefs are the first of their kind ever to be documented in the Galapagos Marine Reserve, GMR, a marine protected area that covers about 51,000 square miles around the small archipelago. The reefs were found at 1,310 to 1,970 feet under the water at the summit of a previously unmapped seamount in the central part of the GMR. The reefs are built up of cold water corals that form large structures and provide shelter for many marine organisms. The scientists observed a rich diversity of life on the reefs, including pink octopus, batfish, squat lobsters, sharks, and rays. The reefs also host species that are endemic to the Galapagos, meaning that they're found nowhere else in the world. The discovery of these reefs is remarkable since they're in pristine condition and seem largely untouched by human activities. This is rare in today's ocean, where coral reefs are often threatened by climate change, overfishing, pollution, and more. The scientists believe that these reefs have lived for centuries in the depths of the GMR, where they're protected by the strong currents and cold temperatures. The discovery also highlights the importance of the GMR as a conservation area that safeguards not only the iconic species of the Galapagos, but also the biodiversity of the deep sea. The scientists hope their findings will inspire more research and exploration of this fascinating ecosystem. Thanks for watching. Which of these discoveries interested you the most? Let us know in the comments and be sure to subscribe to the channel.